Early in the morning, Sven wakes his daughter Charlie to watch the broadcast of the landing of the descent module with their neighbors. The module is returning their wife Paula from the International Space Station. The capsule appears on the screen, but fails to deploy the parachute. Inside, Hottie is yelling at Paula to press the button and release the parachute, but Paula behaves strangely, only complying at the very last moment. The capsule lands safely in Chile, where they are greeted by Indian billionaire Moody, who financed this space mission. Moody is respected worldwide for her philanthropy and support for the needy. Sven and Charlie head home, but during the night, Sven is woken by a phone call. His wife reminds him that she will be arriving tomorrow and suddenly confesses that she finally understands how to play their daughter's favorite game, where Charlie wins by cheating rather than calculating moves like her methodical mother. In the morning, father and daughter drive to the airport, where the head of the pre-flight astronaut training center, Rainer, and Hottie's family are already waiting. Unexpectedly, a message about a flight delay arrives. Charlie notices a strange old woman waving at her, but her father tells her to ignore it. Some time passes and they receive devastating news that the plane has disappeared from the radar over the Atlantic. The waiting families are provided with hotel rooms. While putting his daughter to bed, Sven reads to her about a message sent into space describing humanity, the planet, and including a map of the solar system to help aliens find Earth. But so far humanity has received no response. In the morning, people are informed that search teams have found wreckage in the sea, but no one knows what happened yet. Sven takes his daughter and prepares to leave for home, but they are stopped by Moody's assistant Nora, who sympathizes with the family. She gives Charlie a souvenir from Moody, with a note saying that death is only the beginning, puzzling the girl. At night, Sven goes through Charlie's notebook, where she had written down all her conversations with her mother. Paula had shown her the place where the station's orbit lies before leaving, and they could communicate using a radio transmitter in channels that had long been unused. The story shifts back to the past, where Paula explains to the astronauts that their mission was funded by Moody, who wants to find a cure for death. Paula hopes that the experiment with cells will help stop their dying. In the present, Sven suddenly receives a voice message from Paula, reminding him of their date on St. Nicholas Day and asking him not to argue with Charlie. Confused, Sven remembers they met on a different day and he never argues with his daughter. He rewatches the footage of the capsule's landing and notices that the time on Hottie's watch differs from the overall time, meaning it was not a live broadcast as the media claimed. Sven calls Rainer, but he cannot explain anything. In the morning, Sven is woken by the sound of the TV and realizes that Charlie knows everything. Detectives arrive at his house, asking him to listen to the final recording from the plane. It turns out that Paula and Hottie were in the cockpit sending strange messages, but why and how did they get there? The story returns to the past on the station. Paula hears a clear child's voice in her headphones repeatedly saying, "Hello." She wakes Hottie and lets him listen to the signal, but he asks her to keep it a secret for now. Later they try unsuccessfully to catch the signal again. Suddenly, Paula sees something moving under her skin, but hides it from the others. Paula decides to tell the other astronauts about the signal and even tries to play the recording, but the tape is blank. Hottie jokes about it and asks about her well-being, reminding her that she had mental health issues in the past. He tries to convince her that there was no signal and advises her to rest. In the present, Sven goes to Hottie's wife, worried that Paula's episodes might have returned and caused the plane crash, but she wonders how Paula was even allowed to fly if she had such issues. Back on the station, Paula sees movement under her skin and cuts her arm. The pain sobers her, and she realizes it was all an illusion. Sven searches the apartment and finds a large number of pills, realizing that Paula wasn't taking her medication, making the psychosis theory plausible. In the morning, journalists and families of the deceased gather outside Sven's house, accusing him of being an accomplice to his terrorist wife. Charlie sees the strange old woman from the airport again among the crowd. Sven tries to chase people off his property, but gets insulted, accused of their loved ones' deaths. In the past, Paula contacts Moody about the signal. She is sure it was real and feels guilty for hiding her illness, potentially endangering others. Moody calms her down and gives her advice on dealing with the visions. In the present, Sven remembers how Paula gave him her medical history and let him decide her fate. She could fly and fulfill her mission, or stay and wither away without her beloved work. Sven burns the hospital documents. The noise outside fades, and Sven sees Nora trying to convince the crowd to leave. She is doused with red paint and called a murderer. Sven brings her inside. Shaken, Nora admits the people are right. She gives Sven a signal keychain to contact Moody instantly wherever he is. Sven escorts Nora out, hearing Charlie scream from the house. He runs to her, and she says Paula just contacted her. Angry, he takes the radio transmitter from her, fearing for her sanity. At that moment, Raynor calls, also suspecting a cover-up, but the call is cut off. Sven takes Charlie to Hardy's wife and rushes to Raynor's house. Back on the station, Paula sees a bug on her arm, but manages to overcome the vision. Then she notices numbers under the bandage and realizes she was writing coordinates of the place where aliens would land. In the present, Sven arrives at Raynor's house but doesn't find the old man. Instead, he discovers a folder revealing that Paula seems to have found an extraterrestrial object heading to Earth. Back on the station, Paula sees Hardy listening to the tape with her signal but manages to leave before he notices her. In the present, Sven returns to get Charlie, but she has sneaked away from Hardy's house. He returns home, files a police report, and then reviews Charlie's belongings, finding a notebook with the name of the place where her mother supposedly waits for her. Meanwhile, Charlie reaches a remote farm and falls into someone's hands. Sven packs up, but detectives stop him on his way out. On the station, Paula suddenly asks her husband about the fox and hare game. He laughs at her, knowing she is smart and calculating, but cannot cheat, which is why she loses. To win, one must look into the future. In the present, Sven questions the detectives about the oddities following the capsule's landing and shows them Raynor's folder. Back on the station, Paula causes a small accident, and while the others deal with it, she catches the signal again, learning the time and coordinates of the alien landing site. In the present, Sven deceives the detective and heads to the right place. Back on the station, Paula tells Moody everything, but she advises keeping it a secret as the world might not be ready for such a meeting. Meanwhile, Sven reaches the house where he finds the strange old woman. She quickly finds a beacon in his car and sends it away on a pigeon's leg before leading him to Charlie. The woman had been communicating with the girl via radio, pretending to be her mother. At that time, search services find the black box and broadcast the recordings of the passengers and crew's final minutes. Through the screams, Paula's voice emerges, asking Sven to listen to Charlie because he won't cope alone. It becomes clear she is not to blame for the crash. The old woman shows them the signal recording Paula found. She has been an amateur radio enthusiast, listening to old communication channels, hoping to find something interesting. Sven shows her Raynor's folder. At this time, the detectives discuss everything they have heard from Sven and follow up on Raynor's calls. They discover that, despite airport staff claims that the flight was delayed by 24 minutes, it actually departed on time. Meanwhile, Sven listens to his wife's messages and realizes that Paula was asking him to make her discovery public. Just then they see the returning pigeon with the bug and understand they need to flee. The old woman invites them to hide in her bunker, but father and daughter refuse. They try to hide in the night forest, but are captured by the military and taken to their camp. In the past, on the station, Paula confesses to her partner that she knows about his actions. She promises he will never catch the signal or learn the date and location of the aliens landing. In the present, the detectives realize the delay occurred because someone checked in but didn't board the flight, and their baggage remained on board. Learning the name of this passenger, the detectives rush to find Sven, but at that moment, his phone is confiscated and the detectives cannot warn him. Later, their car is rammed by another vehicle, halting their search. Sven and Charlie are brought into a large tent where they are greeted by Raynor. In the past, on the station, Hardy asks Paula for the coordinates, and when she refuses, he locks her in a compartment and cuts off the oxygen supply. In the present, Raynor laughs at Sven's naivety. If the government has decided to act, nothing will deter them. The military will definitely destroy any alien ship without investigating their intentions, simply because the rulers fear the unknown. An alert sounds, and Sven and Charlie run outside. In the past, Paula gives the coordinates in time of arrival, and Hardy releases her from the compartment. But it turns out she had activated the communication, and her message was sent to Earth. In the present, Sven and Charlie witness the bombing of the supposed landing site and watch in horror as a massive mushroom cloud rises over the Earth. In the past, during the landing, Hardy asks for forgiveness and confesses that he is just a pawn in the game of the powerful. In the present, the military releases Rainer, Sven, and Charlie as everything has already happened and the secret is no longer. The pair returns home. The news on TV reports protests worldwide, but the deed is done and nothing can change it. At night, while putting Charlie to bed, Sven suddenly notices a mark on her arm. In the past, Moody meets Paula at the landing site and admits that the decision to destroy the alien ship has already been made. Even she cannot do anything about it. Paula then confesses she gave false coordinates. In the present, the news reports that there was no object at all. The military bombed an empty area. Sven asks his daughter to show her arm and realizes these are the real coordinates. On the day of the landing, Paula confessed to Moody that the true coordinates are in family hands and hopes to reveal the truth to the world with the billionaire's help. In the present, Sven and Charlie realize the military will come for them as soon as they learn the truth and start to flee. A neighbor helps them escape and gives them her car, but just when it seems they have escaped, a huge truck catches up with their car and drives it into a ditch. Sven regains consciousness but lacks the strength to get out. He then remembers the signal button, presses it, and loses consciousness. Later they wake up in Moody's house. Over dinner, the billionaire admits she loved their mother very much as Paula was exceptionally smart. Moody hopes the arrival of the aliens will turn the course of world history for the better and does not want to miss the chance. Charlie then shows her the real coordinates. The story shifts to the landing day. Paula answers journalist questions while keeping an eye on Moody, Nora, and Hadi. She suddenly asks, if Hadi is a pawn, who is the queen? In the present, Moody, Nora, Sven, and Charlie fly to the supposed landing site by helicopter when Sven receives a message saying Moody's hands are stained with blood. He forwards it to Nora, who immediately informs Moody that Sven knows who blew up the plane. The billionaire apologizes but does not regret her decision. She could not allow the secret to be revealed because she wants to go down in history herself. Sven is horrified. 178 lives for the sake of fame. He asks Charlie to sit with him, and Nora pulls out a weapon. Moody regrets that they found out, but the helicopter has already arrived. They all exit onto the sand where a circle is marked with torches. Moody walks to the designated spot and kneels. Time passes, but nothing happens. Sven recalls his last conversation with Paula about the game. Paula planned everything 2 steps ahead, which is why she won. In the past, on the flight, Hadi apologizes again and gives Paula a gift from Moody. When she opens the box, she finds a note saying that death is just the beginning. Hadi has the same. They look at each other and understand everything immediately. Moody also realizes she has been deceived and asks Charlie to show her arm. Confirming the inscription, she takes a gun and shoots Sven in the leg. The girl screams, not knowing any other coordinates. Sven suddenly starts laughing. Paula outwitted everyone. There are no aliens and never will be. Moody killed almost 200 people for nothing. Moody orders everyone to board the helicopter but instructs Nora to kill Sven and Charlie first. For the first time, Nora dares to protest, saying it's an unjustified cruelty. Seeing her mistress's unwavering look, she takes the weapon. Moody hears gunshots as she leaves. During the crash, Paula repeatedly says that Sven and Charlie need each other. Alone, they will fail. In the present, Nora asks the pair to stay down until Moody leaves and then departs, leaving them unharmed. Later, Sven recalls Paula's last words. Yes, Charlie knew the coordinates, but he received the correct time, which his wife encoded in the message. 3 months pass. One day, the news reports Moody's arrest for organizing the plane explosion. Nora helped capture her, having confessed everything and cooperating with the investigation. The pair heads to the supposed landing site, and soon a structure crashes nearby, revealed to be the probe humans sent into space long ago. Charlie removes the cover and nudges the playback head, stuck on the first word. That's why Paula heard only one word. The space agency suggested that someone sent the probe back to Earth, signaling that humans are not alone in space. Standing by Voyager, Sven and Charlie suddenly see Paula reaching out to them, as if saying her sacrifice was not in vain, hoping it would inspire governments to cooperate and explore space for the benefit of humanity as a whole, rather than for limited personal gains. The miniseries ends here.